News Radio 700 WLW.
Apparently, the Grinch has become a big thing. As you can't get Santa, do you get the Grinch? Or what's going on here? I have no idea. But
a mall Grinch.
Yeah. But like I said, my wife was at, I forget what store the other day, and she said, I was glad to get out of there because it was starting to get crowded because the Grinch was coming pretty soon. And I was like, who goes to see the Grinch? But
I've never heard of this.
Anyways, so you got to be careful with this kind of thing because of trademark and copyright situations, and apparently Dr. Seuss Enterprises can be a little litigious this time of year if they care to. And that's the reason we talked to our good friend Dr. John RIZVI is the patent professor. He's an adjunct professor of patent law at Nova Southeastern Law School in Florida. John, welcome back to the program, as always.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
So, John, with Seuss Enterprises, they take this stuff very seriously, and you would think that any exposure to the Grinch just helps them move some merchandise, but I guess not, eh?
Yeah, well, the expression that all publicity is good publicity is not necessarily the case, and a lot of people are calling foul, kind of looking down on the fact that they're litigious. But under intellectual property law, there's a lot of risks to not enforcing your intellectual property. So if they don't do anything, that could be harmful. That could be seen as waiving their rights, and they could end up having less and less protection in the future, which is why some companies like Disney are fanatical about enforcing their intellectual property, because they're just so concerned about the reduction in value if they don't do anything.
Wow. Is there an uptick this year in Grinch-related
sightings?
Right. Litigation, or what's an example of what's going on right now, and like why is this a topic?
Well, there certainly is an uptick, not necessarily just with the Grinch, but we have right around the corner the original copyrights expiring to Mickey Mouse,
right?
And so a lot of this is it's in the forefront of people's minds. I mean, that's a huge deal for Disney, and a lot of people are watching to see what actually is going to happen. What's Disney going to do when the original Mickey Mouse copyrights expire in like a week and a half? So it's getting a lot of publicity, the intellectual property recently. Wouldn't say there's an uptick, but it's more on the forefront these past several months.
So, John, we're talking to John RIZVI, and you see these pictures of like Times Square in New York, and if you've ever been there, you see all these goofy, characters in costume walking around, getting their, get your picture taken with them and stuff. Like you got Elmo, you got Super Mario. I forget who all I saw when we were there a few years back. But are those guys all paying licensing fees, or are they just kind of doing that, hoping that nobody says anything to them?
Yeah, so a lot of them are doing it informally. There's no, they don't get licensing fees, and and the question is, well, hey, that's not fair, right? The intellectual property infringement is not evenly applied. Some people get away with it, and that's unfortunately just a matter of the difficulty in them catching that, and also the potential for damages if they do catch that. That's why a lot of times you'll find around Halloween all kinds of violations of intellectual property as people are using homemade costumes and going trick-or-treating. There's no enforcement there. It's just the cost of enforcing against little Billy, who happens to become whatever, like something for Halloween with a homemade costume, is not worth it. However, as soon as it becomes a commercial enterprise and sold online as a costume and without licensing, that's when it becomes a problem. So I think we're not going to be able. We're still going to see the Times Square Grinch informally, but as soon as any reasonable-sized enterprise starts doing that, then that's going to be problematic.
Oh, that was what I was going to ask you. Like, so if I buy a official Grinch suit from whatever the reputable, I'll just say Target or somewhere, and I decide to go out to, I don't know, the Kenwood Town Center across the street here, which is our big mall here, and just walked in the mall with it, and people started coming up to me and wanting their picture taken, and I charged them $5 for that picture, that would be illegal, right? Even though I paid for the suit, I bought it from the reputable vendor and everything. If I were to do that, that would be illegal for me to do that based on the copyrights?
That would, because licenses they have, what are you exactly licensed to do? Like if it's for personal use, that's one thing, but if the license is not specifically for that, that's not, then you're going to get into problems. The Elvis lookalikes, I mean, they're now facing, a lot of the Elvis wedding chapels are facing infringement lawsuits because they're formal, the businesses that are profiting from it. But the individual entertainer that happens to show up at a club and as a Elvis impersonator, it's not that they're not, infringement is infringement. They still are commercially, profiting from it, but there's just a limit to how much enforcement a company can do. And that's why, regardless of how strong intellectual property is, you're always going to have those resellers of knockoff products, like the classic wearing the jacket when they'll swing it open and have a bunch of knockoff watches on the inside. It's really difficult to stop the person creating or selling knockoff products in their basement. But, any online sales, any properly licensed business is going to be, taking a risk. And in fact, they could be seen as a contributory infringer, which means you can't just sue the actual person doing the infringing, but the platform itself that makes it possible could be, a lawsuit could be brought against them. So Amazon, for example, could be brought in as a contributory infringer and sued if their platform is allowing people to use it to sell infringing products. And that's why they're so strict in have their own administrative processes in place so that if you suspect your product's being knocked off, you don't have to bring a lawsuit. You can actually go forward and use Amazon's administrative process to try to get relief.
But as far as this stuff goes, John, if whatever, I get myself a Grinch costume and I go and talk to, I go and hang out at the children's hospital here in town and go around and say hi to all the kids. They're not going to sue you over something like that, are they?
Yeah, so there is fair use as an exception to copyright infringement, and one of the major factors is whether it's commercial use for profit. And I can't think of a more a more sympathetic use than that. And then there also, something like that, there's going to be a huge public outcry as well. Even if it is infringement, they're going to face some backlash, just as Mariah Carey did with the copyright suits regarding,
right, when she tried to copyright song. Christmas Queen or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at some point it goes against the spirit of Christmas. Like even if she's right in a court of law, the public opinion was really soured on that attempt by her to claim rights to calling herself the Queen of Christmas. So that's going to be, if you really are a Grinch and you're using intellectual property in a way that's robbing children of happiness in a children's hospital and there's no profit incentive, it's very unlikely you're going to be sued in a situation like that.
All right, John, always a pleasure. John RIZVI, he is the patent professor. People want to find out more. Where can they go? What can they do?
Yeah, so we're on the Patent Professors, our handle on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's our website, thepatentprofessor.com. So look us up. There's a blog weekly about interesting topics regarding intellectual property.
All right, sir. Well, you have yourself a great Christmas, great holiday season, and we will talk to you in the new year, I'm sure.
Perfect. Same to you guys.